Rise and Shine is a 2D ball to the wall twin stick shooter that takes place on Game Earth, and it has a ton of references to other video games, but at its core it is a really tough, fast paced 2D twin stick shooter that I thoroughly enjoyed playing. Each room or each area sort of may always be the time you spend a lot of time at, basically dying and restarting and dying and restarting as you try to figure out what's being asked of you, and sort of understanding the way the enemies move, the way of sort of get the perfect run going, because if you miss a few shots it could be game over. Thankfully the restarts are really quick. It never felt very frustrating, but it always felt satisfying completing each area. And that's sort of one of the crux of these types of games. Games can be tough, they can be unfair, they can throw a lot at you. It's just a matter of that each time you fail you learn something, and it felt like it was your fault, and here you definitely get that sense. And having it on the Nintendo Switch is what I reviewed it on. It felt really good, and that's sort of the thing is using the two analog sticks don't always feel like the most enjoyable way to play games. Sometimes they can feel fairly imprecise, and especially with a twin stick shooter. I was initially a little bit apprehensive about playing a really tough game, or at least a challenging game in this way, but my sort of worries were gone fairly quickly as I got hang of the controls as you play as Rise with this gun that chose you called Shine. And as you travel from area to area, there's a ton of video game references, which is fairly cool. None of it felt too cringy. I didn't notice an arrow in the knee joke anywhere, thankfully. And it's just sort of really fun. Like the different types of enemies they throw at you really keeps things fresh. You get a lot of upgrades in different ways. Like it is part like bullet hell challenge room shooter, and then there's also part-time bullet puzzle game where you'll be given into an area where you've got to figure out a way to get your bullet to maybe a button that will activate a door, which will then help you move on. And you have a way, one of your skills is to be able to control the bullet and move it around. And it's at these times as well, they sort of, it changes the pace, but it also keeps the challenge up really well. It's not like the combat system and the combat scenarios are really tough and then the puzzles are really easy, or vice versa. Strangely, they do a great job of keeping everything balanced in a way that always feels like even though you're doing different objectives, the challenge sort of stays the same, and it's just a really enjoyable game. It's fairly short. I think it's around 2 or so hours, I believe it was, which is fine because you can play on harder difficulties and all that. The visuals are really nice. It looks really smooth, really clear. There was some small hitching every now and then when things got really crazy, but other than that it looks really good on the Switch, especially in handheld mode. And it's just a really fun twin stick challenging shooter, and yeah, it was pretty cool.